So this is different.
This is new.
We are doing something different now. Get ready, because we are covering classic cinema now, and we have the distinct privilege and honor to cover the Indiana Jones franchise with a virgin. Yes, DeVaughn Keys has never had sex.
Yeah.
I mean, he's never watched Indiana Jones.
No, the had sex part.
Never had sex with Indiana Jones.
Exactly.
All right.
Why not?
He was an Indiana Jones version.
Version?
I'm an Indiana Jones virgin.
It's a little late.
And we're also doing a...
Are you calling my edits late?
We're doing live editing.
Yeah, so I'm literally switching us.
You're going to show?
He's got a keyboard there.
He has a keyboard in front of him.
I have a keyboard.
Yeah.
So if the editing is shite, then you know why.
And you could always turn off the picture and just listen like it's a podcast.
No.
Yeah, you can't do that.
So anyways, yeah, Indiana Jones. We started, of course, with Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is, I think, the most Spielbergy film of all Spielberg film. To me, that's how I define what Steven Spielberg is. It's all based on this movie.
It's pretty quintessential Spielberg. Should we just go around and explain, like, give context?
Give the emotional gut stuff first?
Yeah.
Yeah. First takes. I want to hear from D first.
Yeah.
I love
What was your first time like?
So I watched parts of this movie like everyone else, like you did with with what was it you said?
Lion King.
Lion King, yeah.
That you
I've seen it through osmosis.
Through osmosis, right? So that's kind of how I saw this movie. Was like I saw all the parodies. I've seen the scenes recreated over and over and over, and this is the first time that I saw all of it coalesced, and it was interesting because I saw like the original kind of stuff, like the map, flying over the map with the theme being drawn and the face melting and then the top men part, like all those parts. The shooting the guy with the sword, all those parts I've heard of before, but now finally seeing it in a narrative, it was so neat to just revisit that time. It reminded me of Star Wars in a bit.
Well, I mean,
they share the same DNA.
Yeah, very much. Very much.
Sorry.
Yeah. In fact, George Lucas tried really hard to cast someone else as Indiana Jones so it would feel less like Star Wars.
Right. Yeah, I have heard about that.
Yeah.
What are your guys' connection with this movie?
Ooh. I'll say this, and Taylor, I think, is in the same boat. I think there is not a film that I have seen more times than Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, that's Back to the Future.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain I've seen this more than any Star Wars or anything else.
That's definitely true for me as well.
Yeah, and it's always just as delightful every time. Like, this movie's never gotten old to me. It almost it's almost the perfect example of pacing an action movie to me.
Dude.
It's like action, breath, action, breath,
Yeah.
So it just never feels dull, but it always gives you just enough downtime to sort of reconnect to the direction of the story and the characters, and then you're in madness again, you know. And the action sequences are just they're timeless.
Some of the best ever, just so good.
It's funny because a lot of this reminded me of Mad Max Fury Road. Like obviously downscaled, but I mean like just like you said, the pacing of everything. It was just like, we're showing things that need to be shown at certain times. And what was cool was that we always knew, or at least I always knew why things were happening.
Yeah.
I want to compare this movie to Tomb Raider. The new one that we saw.
That's funny, yeah.
Because I want to talk about it as if because Tomb Raider, the new one, did really poorly at showing all this action stuff and making us care about the characters and the plot and everything. And I think it has a lot to work with in like the plot stuff, but it was never interesting.
Yeah.
You never, felt like
Tomb Raider is
was
the
dull.
IP that is destined to be a good Indiana Jones
Yes.
movie.
Yeah.
But never has been and probably never will be.
And it can be is the thing.
You would think.
Yeah,
you'd
with a good
hope.
director at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. This movie, I can single-handedly credit this movie with making me want to make movies, like full-heartedly. And that's mostly because of the bonus features. That was the first time I watched the bonus features, and that was the first time I realized people made movies.
Is that the DVD that you have on your desk?
Yeah, I literally have that DVD.
It's a
on my
sacred
desk.
object.
It is
for you.
Yeah. And so this movie definitely holds a very, very special throne in my knowledge of film. And I was actually kind of worried going into this because I have seen it so many times that I was like, is it going to be boring? And so I started watching it, and it was exhilarating.
Yeah.
Like, just still exhilarating,
And
which is impressive.
We all saw it just now.
Yeah, we
together.
just watched
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I
in the
found
same
it.
room.
Did that camera just turn off?
It's gonna happen.
We good?
We're back. Switch to your camera.
Switch your camera away. Okay. What was really delightful to me was sensing your enjoyment.
Yeah.
I was worried because I never know where we're all going to land when we watch a movie.
Right.
Sometimes sometimes I can predict it. Sometimes I'm totally surprised about who liked it and who didn't.
I was
you know?
in there like,
Yeah, and I was curious because some people think Indiana Jones is cheesy, is just
so I can see the cheese.
but
you know,
it embraces a sense of campiness,
completely.
for sure,
Yeah.
you know, but in a way that's just completely charming, like it's because it's homage instead of tongue in cheek, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And no, it's not tongue in cheek.
Yeah, so as I sensed that you were like in on it and like getting it, I'm just like, yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Doing it.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, the bar shootout scene.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's like one of the best shootouts ever, in my opinion.
Remind me again what the
When he meets Marion and they come in and they shoot in the fire and burn him down. Yeah,
I love that scene. That was awesome. I loved pretty much all of the fight scenes. I loved it. I think there was a couple shots maybe that I was just like, oop, I don't know what that was about, but everything else was gold.
It almost became a trope of Indiana Jones movies, but the fact that they can get away with it is a testament to the storytelling. The continuity flaws in editing is something it's almost like it's done intentionally.
I saw a lot of those.
He's running towards the plane and the river, and he's being chased by the natives. And first it looks like he's 200 yards away in a huge open field,
right.
running to the river, and now he's running into like woods, you know. And of course, the stone door coming down,
right.
the fire,
Sure.
all that kind of stuff.
Alcohol going up and down.
But there's movies where that completely throws me out. Right. Continuity error, and I'm just like, give me my money back. This is garbage.
I want to say that's because of just anyone's connection to the story, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're. Like for me, in order for me to get connected to a story, I really have to know why things are happening. And I was totally on board this whole time. So so none of those editing things took me out. I was like, oh, there's an editing thing that I don't care.
It didn't take you out.
Yeah.
But that's it.
because it doesn't impact the storytelling.
Right.
Yeah. I think the only part in this whole movie where I feel like the pacing slows a little bit more than I would like it to is the sequence when they get on the boat with Marion after the big truck chase sequence. They get on the boat and there's that one scene where there's some romance there. I don't dislike the romance. I thought that was kind of fun.
I've always liked that scene.
Yeah. But the stuff right after that where they're kind of bargaining on the boat and Indy's like hanging out there, and then the submarine stuff just gets a little slow,
why it is? It's the one moment where you know where Indy is and that nothing's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
The main character's taken out of motion.
Yeah.
I think that's why that's the case.
It feels less like an adventure at that time and more like just going through the motions.
Right.
Like, all right, now we're setting up the big end set piece.
Yeah.
That's the only real issue I have with this movie. Honestly,
I think for me, it was like
if you could even call it that much of an issue.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't even call it an issue. I felt like you said, the adventure kept going and going and going, and I loved and admired the pace in the movie so much that when those times slow down, you notice them quite a lot because they don't fit in with the other stuff. I think it's that rule of contrast playing there, where because the movie is about one thing, then when you throw in those other things that it's not about, it starts to feel a little strange.
Speaking of the boat scene, during this viewing, one thing that I kept noticing was how well Spielberg / Lucas are able to balance this very dramatic action movie with gags, right?
Dude, yeah.
And one of them being the mirror on the boat scenes, where I really thought about it, right? So like she flips the mirror, it cracks him in the face. We cut to a wide of the boat, and you hear him scream, "Ah!" And she's like, "Did you say something?"
Did you say something?
Right? And it's always been a funny moment. And there's several of those throughout the movie. They're just obviously gags placed into the movie to make you laugh for a second.
Right.
And it doesn't rob the movie of its authenticity, or lessen the stakes. You know,
right?
Like that's a really difficult line to walk to mix some humor into something that's really action. For example, in a lot of the Marvel movies,
oh geez,
a gag comes in and it completely derails the tension.
Yeah.
You know,
like it's part of the script. You're like, okay, ready, gag time.
Yeah.
And the almost part of the joke in Marvel of derailing it is the fact that it is derailing the plot or undercutting the drama.
The tension, right?
That is like part of the joke, but it just gets obnoxious in those movies.
I think it's because it's just overdone, basically.
Yeah. I don't think I can think of another movie where I like all of the gags and the comedy and the mixed in with the action and drama,
right?
As much as I like Indiana Jones. Well, Indiana Jones does happen to be one of my favorite movies of all time, so
that might be a little bit.
That's a little high, yeah.
It's funny. High of a bar. It's funny to me that one of the things we criticized Rise of Skywalker about was the Chewie misdirect, right? Right? Because they don't show that there is an existence of another ship that Chewbacca is being put on.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing to give any clue that there could have been any other possible outcome. And then later they're like, oh, well, he was on a different one, right? And
we're just like, what?
They kind of do the same thing here.
They do, yeah.
There's no other evidence to suggest that Miriam is not in that truck when it blows up. But when I saw it in Star Wars, my main complaint was, oh, that's the Marion trick. I've seen this a million times.
I've seen this already.
Yeah.
It's amazing how iconic this movie is all the way through. It's not like there's like one iconic scene or one line or one moment. It's the whole movie, scene after scene after scene after scene, that is just iconic.
Yeah.
It's really, really amazing.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Man, you sensed how influential it's been,
right? Just
by seeing all these things, you're like, I've seen the fingerprints of this movie all across the last 30 years.
Yeah, it was like the whole movie was like one big just slew of icons.
Yeah,
that was really, really interesting. I wanted to touch on that Chewbacca scene that you talked about with the Marion thing. What was that? There was a movie that we just saw with David Lynch. What did Jack do?
Yeah,
that's what it was. And how long is it? That's on Netflix.
That's like a 16-minute short film.
Yeah, so it's a short film on Netflix by David Lynch, and
it's very much like Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
very similar.
Speaking of,
what brought me to that movie, What Did Jack Do, was because the dialogue in that movie is so strange and just weird, and yet you keep sticking with it because everything is charming and you care about what's happening. So let's keep going through and seeing what's happening. It's not like I'm getting in and I'm just strapping on for the ride. It's just you want to see what's going to happen next because you're intimate with these characters, and that's something that Marvel, Tomb Raider, Star Wars doesn't have, is that intimacy. So that when you have something like the Chewbacca trick, you're just like, well, but obviously that didn't really happen, and it's just because you're not there emotionally.
Yeah, no, definitely true. Definitely true. speaking of emotional connection, I don't think you can talk about that without making some mention of John Williams.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
this is peak Williams to me.
This is quite
And
good.
it's a masterclass in using musical theme.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's a good, that's
Like
a really,
it really is strong in this. And it's stronger in this than any other film I can think of.
Yeah.
Between Indy's theme, Marion's theme, and the Ark's theme.
Yeah.
And then the Nazis have a theme too. It's a little less pronounced, but those three really carry the three plot elements.
yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Williams and Spielberg are the two that I feel like made up movies to me as a kid. Is that like when I think of movies, I think of those two powers
Yeah.
combined.
Mm-hmm.
And I think of theme being
Yeah.
used, and I think of like, well, not mise en scene, but composition, character composition, like utilizing the screen of all four corners, to make sure that you're showing things correctly.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Composition is actually really, really well done in this film.
Yeah,
Incredibly well
done.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
the cinematography in here is okay. It's not great, but it's
dialed.
It's dialed.
Yeah.
It is super dialed.
Yeah, it's nothing like it's not a master class in high art.
right.
It's a master class in craft, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, every single thing in the scene
Yeah.
is absolutely on purpose.
Yeah.
And even if it's maybe not on purpose, it fits the shot and it fits the theme.
Two of my favorite visual moments, and they're really quite simple. One, this is a very minor thing, but I always appreciate it, is the shot where Indy's up on the cliff with the bazooka, and he's just deciding, okay, I'm going to give up. And then the negative space that you hadn't even been really aware was there gets occupied by the Nazi soldiers coming in behind him, out of focus. And in one shot, that was clearly a shot made for Indy, we get a whole scene.
Yeah.
Right? And I just love that.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, and we understand. I mean, like without them
Yeah,
saying
you're like,
stop.
oh, he's caught.
Yeah.
He's done. Yeah.
Yeah, it all happens just within that happens all throughout this movie. Like there's all kinds of compositional techniques used where things are popping in and out of frame. Shots are set up where you think one thing's going to happen and then something else happens. It's like there's layers to the composition, and like shots and actions within themselves tell like mini stories, or like mini gags.
So where it's not necessarily gorgeous,
it
is very effective.
It's very effective.
Extremely effective.
Which you could say that is the purpose of cinematography.
Yeah.
And Vittorio Storaro, who's the guy on cinematographer for Apocalypse Now, talks about that. Talks about being the most effective cinematography, and that's the best cinematography.
Yeah.
I like cinematography because high art.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you just love
I just love
cool
the
shots.
Cool shots,
Yeah.
The coolest shot effect.
Cool shot effect. The other moment, and I always think about this. I thought about this before I even thought about being a filmmaker, was that if the camera just followed Indy when he was chasing Miriam in the basket, and just followed him behind him, and he came around the corner and saw a street full of people carrying baskets, it would have still done the trick, right? It's like, oh, now there's lots of baskets. You don't know which one is Miriam.
Yeah.
But instead of cutting to this reverse shot where he's running towards the camera, and he runs right into frame, so it's this close on his eyes, and his eyes go wide because he's realizing something and we don't know what it is, and then it cuts to the reverse and you see all the baskets, and it just has this amazing impact.
Yeah, dude, that is some of the best stuff. I love that kind of reveal. Like that's done in The Shining all the time for horror, where you see like Shelley Duvall just cowering, and then we see what she's cowering at, right? But here it's used for not for horror, but for I guess it is dramatic.
For effectiveness.
Effectiveness, for lack of a better word. Yeah.
For visual storytelling.
Yeah, making it dramatic, making it impactful,
Yeah. And one of the things I noticed a lot in this was a lot of close-ups. Very, like a lot. Or in the beginning, at least, there was a huge use of close-ups where we had Indy's whip, where we had I guess just other things that Indy had on him. I'm trying
Because they're like establishing his character. You see him in like silhouette. You see his gun. You see his like hat and stuff.
Yeah, you see his hat. So like when they're in the first area, that little Aztec looking area, we show his hands over a map. We see, like you said, his hat. We see his whip. Like we see pieces of this character and then his face. You know, it's just like it's all this culminating shot thing.
It's such a great setup because it establishes how, because especially you see how he's leading the group, and it's almost as if he's acting as if he's alone almost. He's like completely confident in what he's doing and moving forward regardless of his guides that are helping him, who end up betraying him, right?
Yeah.
But you see that slow buildup as you see these kind of almost incompetent guys who are taking up most of the scene, and then this looming mysterious cool guy is like spearheading everything, and you're like, who is this person? And I think it's a really interesting way to get an audience's attention while still establishing an accurate character for Indy.
That scene is where Alfred Molina began his illustrious career of being small characters in huge movies.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2.
Always.
Dr. Octopus.
He always plays not...
Oh, was he Doctor?
That's one of his biggest roles, to be honest.
Yes.
Wow.
But he's always a supporting character in major blockbusters.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I always liked him.
One of the things I thought was really cool in the beginning of the movie was that they introduced a ton of questions. And this is something, it's funny because I was thinking about the way that they use the staff with the crystal, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking this would not be a problem in today's society. We have programs that we could use to just figure out where the thing's hidden by, using AI to complete the puzzle. Basically.
Probably, yeah.
But the way they made it so effective was by introducing questions as opposed to like using questions to incite mystery. And I think the same movie could be done today in the same formula if they introduced the right kinds of questions. And I thought it was really neat because you could, along with showing Indy and introducing his character and everything, we're showing what he does as a person by showing him like the most iconic scene of all, which is him going through this tomb, laying, doing the traps. What do you call it?
Mm-hmm.
What do you call that?
The booby traps?
When they intentionally set him off.
Springing
the traps. Sprinting the traps. Yeah, when he's sprinting traps and then he knows where things are, and we don't even know what this place is yet, and yet he's outsmarting all of it before we even see it happen. So it introduces questions about like, what is this place? Who is this guy? Why is this happening?
Yeah.
And it answers all of them, and I love that.
Yeah, and it does answer all of them. What a cool way to start a movie.
Yeah,
It's such a good use of the MacGuffin concept.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
We see the MacGuffin concept just
Done poorly.
dragged through the garbage
Especially
now.
lately, yeah.
And I gonna bring it up again, but Rise of Skywalker was one of the. It was the thing is that it's pointless, and they're like, oh well, we'll use a MacGuffin to move the story along, and it's like that's the opposite reason.
Hold on.
I think
That way, no one knows who coughed. We're
thank you.
masking it for you.
I'm just wondering if I need
I don't want him to have a bias against you because of your weakness.
my weakness.
Yeah.
D, we can't pause anymore. We can't edit. We can't pause.
This is good. Okay, we're good.
You good?
Yeah.
All right. So.
Oh my gosh.
So that's the opposite of why you should use a MacGuffin, right? To be like, well, we can introduce this thing and that'll help move the story. Here we have we have to find this thing, the headpiece. The headpiece is what will tell us how to get there. Oh, the Nazis only have one half of the headpiece, so they don't have the whole story. And how they get it, it got melted into the dude's hand, right? So everyone has pieces of MacGuffin number 1, only to take you to MacGuffin number 2, which is the arc itself, right? And then the whole rest of the story is about the arc and its power and the consequences of messing with it, and right? Whereas in Rise of Skywalker, You have the
Wayfinder.
the
Sith
way-
Wayfinder.
The Sith
Wayfinder.
Wayfinder, which was the centerpiece of the first act of the movie, but ultimately had no importance really to the story.
Oh, yeah.
Same with the Sith dagger
Yes.
being another one, right? And
totally
I
forgot
feel
about
like JJ always feels like he's clever.
Yeah.
When he's like, well, we're going to put in some object that they have to go find, but the object never has anything to do with the story.
Those MacGuffins, that I think there's a conception that if you have a MacGuffin and you're telling your story, a story unfolds around a MacGuffin. It doesn't matter if the MacGuffin is pointless.
Right.
Like that's sort of the conception that's going on, I think, right now.
That's really too bad.
That's terrible.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. Or
absolutely
it's
terrible.
like I want my characters to get from point A to point B. How will I get there? We'll use a MacGuffin as part of the movement.
Yeah, and that's
right?
that's like
But
what
it's
Tomb Raider did.
Yeah, and that's stupid.
Yeah.
And, and that's not what happened here. They said we want to make a movie about finding the Ark of the Covenant.
Right.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So that was the intent of the MacGuffin was the point.
Well, that was
Yeah.
the goal. Okay, so this is interesting because the Sith Wayfinder was the goal of our heroes, but in Rise of Skywalker, but they did it a little differently. It was like Rey had to find the Sith Finder because she had to. Like that was just something she had to do. Her actual goal was to actually I don't even know if Rey had a goal. Was it to defeat?
Who knows?
Yeah, Rey was. What was her goal to defeat?
Who knows? Who knows?
To defeat the Emperor? Or anyway, but
Win.
What?
Her goal was to win.
Oh yes,
She's
to win.
Ray win.
Absolutely, yeah.
Bad guys lose.
Her goal didn't. Her goal wasn't to find the Sith Wayfinder or
Yeah.
to use the Sith
It was-
Wayfinder in any way.
Yeah,
It was just
to defeat the Sith.
it was to defeat it. Yeah,
Yeah.
And in order to defeat the Sith, you must find this item.
yeah. It's like
Right.
it's not. MacGuffins aren't supposed to be used like lock and key. It's supposed
Yeah.
to be used as an extension of the character.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
absolutely.
think that whole simple logic came out of the fact that this movie is so iconic.
Absolutely,
Completely.
Because
Yeah.
the whole, I believe even the name MacGuffin came out of Indiana Jones.
Actually, Alfred Hitchcock.
Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah, had
What-
a
what's
movie where the MacGuffin was literally something called MacGuffin. I think.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, let me say that it was popularized
Correct.
by
Yeah.
Spielberg talking about it.
Yeah, Spielberg was
Spielberg and
probably very
Lucas,
much
yeah.
influenced by that.
Were the ones talking about it all the time in whenever they've talked about Indiana Jones, you hear it over and over
Yeah.
again.
True.
And they talk about it as a plot device, and people hear that and go, okay, well that's a tool to make my
Right.
movie better.
Yeah, therefore I can just put in something and it'll be good.
Right,
you know?
right.
Or like JJ's mystery box is literally
Jeez.
JJ's mystery box is a MacGuffin that doesn't matter. That's like the thing, right?
Because I think you could make an argument that his mystery box does it has its place. It's a tool for filmmaking, and you could use it in a good way, but it is to incite mystery only.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
I don't know. What am I talking about?
Anyway, but I think MacGuffin is like you said, it's a tool that you can use, but you shouldn't be like the movie is the tool, and it doesn't work like that. Your movie's about your story, it's about
Yeah.
characters.
Whenever I watch Indiana Jones, any of them, even the least popular of the four, which we'll get to eventually here,
Yeah.
I always think that the world has missed out on many wonderful treasures that could have been if Spielberg and Lucas just decided to be collaborators.
I
Exclusively,
really
yeah.
think about that too. a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah. If Lucas was like, I'm the idea guy and producer, you're the director. We're going to keep hiring Lawrence Kasdan to write scripts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's a dynamite team.
Yeah,
It is,
that was an absolute powerhouse team.
I don't remember seeing Lucas's name in these credits.
It was like the second name on the screen.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Because I know it's on the other movies.
Yeah, producer, executive producer, and story.
Producer.
Kasdan?
No, Lucas.
Lucas. Yeah.
Kasdan wrote
Yeah.
the screenplay.
Right. Yeah, Lucas, this Indiana Jones was
His
Lucas's
idea.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His
He's like-
dog is Indy.
Yeah, he was like, he's like Spielberg, I have an idea for a movie called Indiana Smith. Do you want to do it? Like, I don't like the name.
Yeah.
Why don't we call him Indiana Jones?
Is that wait Quentin Tarantino?
yeah.
If you did the same voice but put on a scarf, then you would have been Spielberg.
Then I would have been Spielberg.
Always wear scarves now.
Yeah, he's on the scarf era of his career.
The scarf era. Yeah.
So before it was beard and hat. Now
So we had major action blockbusters era, and then we had the serious Spielberg era. Then we had a long era where he never directed anything but produced every film in Hollywood. And now is scarf era.
Yes. Scarf era. Scarf era is still a Spielberg.
Yes. So I am so excited to finish this exercise with you, D.
Yes.
Because in the next film, it's like all the same flavors, but being poured through like an entirely different spirit.
Yeah.
It really, really takes you in a different direction while still maintaining all the things that make it good. And then the third one is just like it's almost a maturing of all the things that make Indiana Jones great. I still think the first one is the true masterpiece, but Last Crusade is like these two filmmakers had just become so much more mature.
Yeah.
And they make a grown-up version of Indiana Jones.
That's really interesting because I was through watching this one, I was thinking, I wonder how this formula would continue. And I know there's, I was going to say 2 more movies. There's 3 more movies.
Yeah. Like Last Crusade is much sleeker.
No.
And much sleeker.
Yeah, Raiders is super down and dirty. Like they're just like we just got to get the shot and move on.
It
right?
felt a little bit Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah,
way.
Yeah, and it is.
That is how they approached the making of Raiders.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then Temple of Doom, they were both in super dark places and had just gone through horrible life experiences, and they this movie is like their therapy, and people really had negative reactions to it when it came out because they were like, Indiana Jones, first one was great, let's go see this, and they were just like, geez, I should not have brought my kids to that. And didn't they invent a rating for that?
It was
PG-13.
I think
something like that.
It was one of the movies. It was, I want to say Crusade was the first PG-13.
What was this one rated?
PG. It got
incredible.
It got an R rating.
Wow.
At first, which there
was no middle ground back then, though.
Oh.
PG-13 didn't exist.
Oh, okay.
It got an R rating because they full on show a man's head explode in gore at the end with no filter, and then they got their PG rating by putting some fire in front of it.
Oh,
yeah, that was the one thing that was holding him back. Yeah,
I was just going to say that. So we said the first movie was the down and dirty adventure. The second one was the dive into the darkness of their souls. Right. The third one, they had enough life experience to tell a story that actually has more human elements to it. Mm-hmm. Like there's a father-son dynamic. There's loss in the third one. Yeah, it's much more emotionally mature. That all the relationship dynamics are fleshed out because these are two adults that have now had
life happen.
Yeah, right. And you see that with a lot of young filmmakers and early filmmakers. They make a movie like Indiana Jones, where it's action, and the character moments are only based on very superficial things because it's all they know about.
Because that's all
they
know.
What
you know, yeah.
Right. So in that way, I've always really appreciated Last Crusade. And then the fourth movie was, here's a ton of money, go have fun together. That's what it is. They're just like, well, they're going to give us all this money to make an indie. Let's go do it. Let's go have some fun.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've heard about that movie.
That's going to be a good episode.
Yeah.
When we get to that one.
That'll be interesting.
It'll be a fun conversation. So what kind of pizza is Indiana Jones? Raiders of the Lost Ark.
What kind of pizza?
What kind of pizza is it? That's easy for me. It's the best pepperoni pizza of all time.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I guess that works.
Yeah.
Do you have a pizza?
Okay. Let me have a go at this. I would say it's not just the pizza that just fits the bill, you know, where it's just like, oh, I was hungry and the pizza tastes good, but it's also you're on like vacation in New York or some cool place where it's like it's just that experience pizza where you're just like, this was so fun. Yeah,
this pizza was.
You got it at a place called like Tony's, you know.
Tony Collette's.
This big heavy guy with hair growing out of his ears and his shoulders, you know, in a tank top, and he's like, "I'm Tony. I got the best pizza in the Bronx."
Yes.
Yeah,
that's great.
That's what it
good
is.
Pizza, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't think of a pizza for this one.
It transcends pizza.
Yeah.
It's classic tier.
It's garlic bread knots.
Okay, so I'll use one of Taylor's because it's like you said, it's classic. It's like something you've seen this pizza done so many times before. It's pepperoni pizza. Yeah, I get it, pepperoni pizza. I've seen it so many times. But then you eat it and you're like, oh, this is what pepperoni pizza tastes like. I've been eating like clones.
Turns out all the pizzas you've been eating have been based on that one.
Based on that pizza.
Yeah.
So this is original pepperoni.
Yeah, it was like the first guy to put pepperonis on a pizza.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's actually pretty interesting to think about. I've never thought about comparing the Marvel movies to Raiders. But now that I've thought about it, there's quite a few comparisons.
There's
to
a
be
lot of
drawn.
similarities there.
That's really interesting to me.
Yeah. And there's just way more heart
Yeah.
in Indiana Jones.
In Marvel movies.
Ooh.
This is so much more heart. Yeah, no, it's really corporate. Really,
Corporate heart.
corporate heart is what I meant.
Yes.
That's what I meant.
Printed heart.
Printed heart.
3D printed heart.
Yeah, so now on Talkies, we are covering whatever movies we fucking feel like.
Also, I want to do some at least one movie a month that we absolutely hate.
That we don't want to do.
Right. Okay. So we're still going to the theater.
Yeah.
But it'll either be to see a movie that we're excited to see, or a movie that we fully expect is going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
Like
And
Cats.
For me, like Cats, right? And for me, that means seeing this movie.
Oh, Sonic.
Yeah.
I guess I will do that next week.
Because I really don't think. Okay, so I've been hearing good things about it though. So
Jim Carrey.
Anyway, in between, we will be covering classics and other things.
Yeah, just any movie we feel like watching.
Including right now, we've just begun this 4-movie adventure into Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, the 5th movie starts production this summer.
What?
Yeah, officially greenlit.
What?
Yeah, that one's been on in queue for a while.
A long time.
Yeah.
You guys surprised me. This was a surprise party.
Yeah.
Hey, virtually right after Crystal Skull, they're like, "Would you guys make another?" And they're all like, "Yeah."
Well, it can't be with.
It is.
Oh yeah,
It
Harrison
is.
Ford.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it literally is.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's strange.
Yeah.
Well, he just made that
What's he gonna do?
dog movie.
He's gonna. I
Dude,
can't
and
see
people were saying that about Crystal Skull.
There were
was
so many
2008.
old man jokes back then, and that was
over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So what's he gonna do?
It was funny I wonder if they'll do the real time thing, because that's what they did with Crystal Skull, because it was like a 20-year gap.
It was 1950.
And so they went from the 30s and Nazis to communist Russia in Crystal Skull.
Right.
So now it's going to
how
be
big
like
will the time get? It'll be
it'll
like the
like
60s.
it's gonna be like it'll be the
Iraq?
Ayatollah.
It's gonna be strange.
Who knows? I don't know. You can't go wrong with Russia. It'll probably be Russia.
It's probably gonna be.
It'll probably be Russia.
Russian enemy is timeless.
It's always
timeless.
Russia.
Yeah. Oh, here's an interesting factoid. A lot of people don't realize. They could go out of order. They could put it anywhere in the timeline.
Right.
Of course, he's an old man, so it might not make sense to do that. But Temple of Doom is actually supposed to take place before Raiders of the Lost Ark.
So it's like a prequel.
Yeah, it's-
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't do any prequel-ish things. Like, it has no bearing on the next movie
Like,
at all.
The only reason you would know that is because there's like a timestamp in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And the only reason they did it in the first place was because Harrison Ford got into like incredibly good shape and he looked younger.
Nice.
And they were like, well, we could have it take place before.
Let's do it before.
Why not?
That's awesome.
Cool.
That's very cool.
Very cool.
Very cool.
This has been a delight, guys.
That was
this.
really pleasurable.
Good
Much more
experience.
pleasurable than watching like
The Gentleman.
Yeah, so we skipped a whole episode of the Talkies and went on like a month hiatus because we saw The Gentleman and we just couldn't get it up. The set. We couldn't get the set up.
Yeah,
we
of
couldn't
course.
get the motivation to put the set together.
We just couldn't get the set.
Yeah, to do it.
Okay.
I also could not get an erection for days.
Right. Yeah. Me too.
Me too.
That movie is like the opposite of Viagra.
Real quick,
Real quick.
let's do a micro episode on The Gentleman.
Why?
Okay, The Gentleman was
No, I don't wanna do
not
this.
that good, but
No.
kind of good.
Oh man,
No,
I'm
actually,
getting soft.
I did just.
Oh, Taylor.
It was kind of fun,
I-
but then when you watch Raiders of the Lost Ark afterwards, you're like, that's the worst movie I've ever seen.
No,
Yeah.
I do just want to say that we did the reason why we skipped it, and it was because we had zero feelings about the movie.
Yeah, it was like, what are we gonna say? This was okay.
Yeah, it's not even like
That's all we would've
meriting
said.
discussion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was it. It
That
was
we
a-
couldn't even do a micro episode.
It was a Guy Ritchie. Yay.
Just another one.
Just
Yeah,
another one.
like I just wish he would elevate his
I don't
craft.
know,
You
man.
know,
Like seriously,
do something new.
Sherlock was so awesome.
That was he
Like,
peaked. He peaked. No, he peaked with Aladdin.
Oh god.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Oh,
Existed.
dude, I forgot,
I forgot
he
that was
directed
Guy
that.
Ritchie.
Why? Why did he direct that movie?
It's the weirdest thing
That
ever.
is so weird.
That's strange. That's very
All
strange.
right, goodbye,
Anyway,
everybody. Goodbye.
See you later. Hey, wait.
No.
We need faces
Oh, okay.
for Indy. What's your face? What's your face? There we go.